U.S. President Joe Biden has issued an executive order banning U.S. investment in Chinese quantum computing, advanced chips, and AI technologies, citing national security concerns. Now, the ban, which is set to take effect next year, will require companies to inform Washington of any activities in the three areas. The U.S. is intensifying efforts to stop China from having access to American technology. Beijing says that it is gravely concerned with the Biden administration's decision, which comes as China faces declining trade and deflation. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Martin Catarata. He's a senior consultant at China-focused consultancy Sinolytics. Martin, welcome to the show. How serious are these newly announced measures if we look at trade flows between the U.S. and China?
Thanks for having me. Let me make three initial observations from us on the new executive order. So first of all, the executive order has not created an outbound investment screening regime as of yet. It has only started the process of making rules to implement it in the future. So as you said, next year is a likely timeline. So nothing is set in stone yet, and how exactly the implementation will look like still remains to be seen. The second point that I want to make is the announcement of this has been already awaited for quite some time. So it is not entirely surprising that this is coming out now. It's been in the works for about a year, and European as well as Chinese officials have had a lot of time to engage US officials on this. So there shouldn't be too many surprises on either side. The third point that I want to make, it is noteworthy that the executive order is more narrow in scope than what has been previously suggested and what the US Congress is considering right now in its National Defense Authorization Act. So for example, the current rules exclude biotechnology. But of course, the proposed rules also still give the option to expand to more technology areas. So as I said, nothing is set in stones.
All right, so a bit more narrow than some had expected or feared. The EU, meanwhile, says it's analyzing what the U.S. plans to do with these curbs. What does that mean for the EU? Can we expect it to do anything or implement its own curbs?
Yes, thanks for that question. Let me answer in two quick buckets. So let me first start with the implication for this for European business. We don't see an immediate impact on European companies' investment strategies. Since the executive order only started the process of defining the rules, industry also still has in the future. The US Treasury is also actively seeking for comments right now and has published a notice asking for input on specific questions. One specific area that European businesses should be aware of that I want to highlight is that the notice also considers rules that are limiting US persons, regardless of whether they work in the US or in Europe, from making investment decisions in certain technologies. But here again, the implementation of this still remains to be seen in the details. In terms of how this will affect European the policy-making process, obviously we have seen the US previously already push transatlantic partners towards adopting stricter controls and technologies that the US deems as a national security risk. The most prominent example, obviously, the Dutch export controls on semiconductor manufacturing equipment. We don't expect the US to apply a similar pressure on the EU for the outbound investment screening. First, getting transatlantic partners aligned is much more important for export controls than it is for the outbound investment screening, since technology leakages are much more direct if exports from other countries continue to flow. Second, given that the executive, that the European Union is already considering an outbound investment screening, what we think is that this executive order and how exactly the US implements the outbound investment screening might serve, of course, as a blueprint for how the EU will tackle this in the future. Yes.
Martin, very concise. I only have 20 seconds. If I'm a major business in the EU, a German business, for example, should I expect that an investment screening is coming in the near future?
From the European side
yes,
or from the
European
US side?
From the European side.
So from the European side, I think it is quite clear that both on the European level, the Commission already is actively looking into how to do a proposal. The German side also already announced that it will work with the Commission into exploring how this will look like. So yes, I think we can expect something.
All right. Thank you very much, Martin Catarata with Sinolytics, a China consultancy firm. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.